You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Welcome into Wager Talk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Tony Finn and Rob Vino of WagerTalk.com. We're talking prime time Saturday night, 8 p.m. on ABC. Pac-12 and Big Ten squaring off here, guys. We get the Washington Huskies, Michigan Wolverines. We're seeing Michigan open 4.5 here, Tony. Now up as high as 6.5. Little under money as well, down to 49, pretty much across the board at the Wager Talk odds screen. Tony, are you interested in getting involved with the Huskies and Wolverines Saturday night?
I didn't think I was. I really didn't think I was, Drew. This is one of those games where I've in the last year or so, maybe 2 years, I've stepped back from Michigan. I rarely play on or against them, simply because it seems like when I have over the last half decade, I've just been wrong. I've not been very good assessing Harbaugh and these Wolverines more than anything. And I think there's a lot of people who would probably second that emotion. And in this game, I don't know how to, without taking up, reading a short story to you and taking up 30 minutes of your time on this video, explain how important this game is, in my opinion, to the Wolverines. I mean, essentially, it's it was almost a breath of fresh air. Again, we have Harbaugh. He's excited. He does his coach speak as well as anybody. He tells the media and us what we want to hear and how excited he is about this new team, fresh team. This team is going to, and in many ways, I mean, it's pseudo because I just don't think it's true, but save his job, or at least maybe some of his reputation in Michigan from where he came and what he's done so far in Ann Arbor, which hasn't been much or hasn't been anything somebody's going to write a Hail Mary book about. So Michigan, they entered this with a lot of question marks, really. They did. I thought they were pretty impressive in week one. I don't know that that's the kind of test that you want to rest your laurels on, or you want to put your money on the fact that Michigan did what they did and Washington did what they did. This is more about Washington. This is a team that I believed was unlucky last year. It was a team that couldn't play in the Big 12 championship because of COVID issues. In turn, they relinquished their spot to Oregon. Oregon goes in and beats USC. And, of course, nobody from the Pac-12 is part of what? The Final Four, which doesn't surprise me. In fact, we should do all of us, three of us should do a video on the Pac-12 week one, because if you look at that, again, if you had any inclinations or any aspirations or any positive belief that this Pac-12 was going to rebound from what's been a miserable half decade, they didn't. And Washington's one of those teams, the top team. They lost to a non-Division 1 FBS school in Montana. They were miserable, and they were contrary to everything I believed that this team would be, which is physical and tough in the trenches. My biggest question for this, and I'm hoping that Rob will answer this, and I'm going to end this really short, sweet, and say I think that it's an absolute gift to get Michigan at minus the 6.5, whatever your number might be, depending on the shop, in this situation, because this is I'm telling you right now, Harbaugh is going to pull the kitchen sink out in this game. He gets a Washington team. I firmly believe, guys, and I know I don't want to overreact to week one. I don't think they'll rebound from that loss to Montana. I think they completely fall out of Periscope view in the Pac-12 and are miserable. And then questions arise again: who are and who is the Pac-12? Who are the bigs? Who are the smalls? And who are the tweeners? And I think everybody's a small in Pac-12. I like Michigan here minus 6.5 simply because of a situation. The situation is Harbaugh needs to win this game. He needs to win this game, win it by margin, and show that he's not, the weak sister of the Big Ten, especially a Michigan program that's always been, or at least historically been, one of the powers with Ohio State, and some after that with Wisconsin, et cetera, et cetera. Give me Michigan minus the points, guys.
All right, Robbie. Well, it looks like Tony agreeing with the move here from 4.5 to flirting next to a 7-point home favorite. What are you liking? Washington, the Huskies to bounce back here? Or are you liking the Wolverines in the Big House Saturday night, Robbie?
Well, let's start with a situational break that Washington catches here, right? This is a West Coast team flying into the East Coast time zone to play a game with only 1 week's preparation, right? And, except for the fact that, as you mentioned, Drew, this is 8 o'clock at night on the East Coast. So it's 5 o'clock really for the West Coast clock, the Washington Huskies. It's not a 12 noon game that would have affected Washington even more. So I think the start time of this is one benefit to Washington, the team that has to cross all the time zones. Last week, again, second game we're going to talk about here with totally different results. Washington, for the most part, defensively was superb. I mean, they only allowed 10 first downs. They only allowed 232 total yards, only 105 through the air. And Montana goes 2 of 13 on third down conversions. The problem with that Washington defensive performance is they gave up 111 yards on 2 back-to-back drives in the fourth quarter that cost them the game. And now, granted, they probably should have been winning by a lot more than 7-3 at the time, but defense couldn't hang on, and they lose 13-7. And, you know, you can't blame it all on the defense, guys, because the Washington offense in their final 4 drives throws 2 INTs, and had 1 turnover on down. So neither side of the ball did the job in the fourth quarter when it counted. They had some negative plays throughout that game that really hurt them. 3 turnovers, and also 3 sacks that ruined what, you know, Montana's a really good FCS team, but they didn't play football in 2020. They opted out of last season. So the last time we saw Montana was in 2019. And Washington couldn't handle them. Michigan side, totally different. How about 5 touchdowns last week from outside the red zone by the Michigan Wolverines? We're not used to seeing that. 76-yard touchdown pass, 74-yard run, 69-yard touchdown pass, 30 and 22-yard runs. Michigan was explosive, something we have not seen under Jim Harbaugh. It's interesting because 71% of his play calling went to the run. Only 29 to the pass, yet the pass produced 216 total yards, and the rushing game produced 351. So the yardage was balanced, but the play calling was heavier toward the run. Real good signs if you're Michigan. One bad sign, the pass rush didn't really get to Western Michigan at all. Only 1 sack and 37 pass attempts. This is going to be a huge step up for the Michigan offense. It's one thing to do it against a MAC team. It's another thing to do it against a defense that I just described played a pretty solid game against Montana, albeit an FCS school. So we'll see if Michigan can repeat the performance. They do lose their top receiver for this game. Ronnie Bell, who caught a 76-yard touchdown pass, gets injured. He's out. And now they'll have to have a couple other guys step up. So one big play threat gone. We'll see if it affects Michigan or not. That receiving core, by the way, fairly young and not a lot of experience. So we're going to see how they do overall as a unit. I think that it's a step up in class, however, for Washington as well. You know, you go from Montana now to Michigan on both sides of the ball. The Huskies didn't perform well offensively. Are they going to be able to perform against Michigan? It's a big question here. Can they even run the football? You know, when Jimmy Lake took this job, he was adamant about saying, I'm not one for going horizontally. I go east and west. We go downhill with the running game, vertical with the passing game. They did neither last week. I'm not really sold on either quarterback here. So quarterback play, whoever does the best job could come into play. Dylan Morris on the Washington side, Cade McNamara on the Michigan side, who looked real good last week. We'll see if he can do it for a second straight week. Overall, you know, it's week 2, and I'm willing to give Washington the benefit of the doubt here. And I would say I'd look to take the 6.5 and see if those explosive plays that Michigan produced, 5 of them on offense, weren't more of a product of a MAC defense where on a weekly basis we see MAC defenses get bombarded. And Washington's secondary, not likely. Jimmy Lake, remember, is a secondary coach by trade. Probably not likely to get bombarded that way. So hopefully, if you grab 6.5, they can stay close. They won't be affected by the big house venue. This is a Pac-12 team that's used to going into big arenas. With a slight lean, again, Drew, I'm not thoroughly confident in either side here, but I think I would lean toward taking 6.5 with Washington. It seems to me to shape up as a defensive game, and perhaps the line movement down in the total was correct. Again, you have to ask the question, was Washington a little bit vanilla in the game plan against Montana? If they were, it cost them. They shouldn't have been. Those are all questions we'll answer, and it's why week 1 to week 2 sometimes becomes the most difficult one to handicap.
Yeah, always a tricky handicap here. And guys, we have seen the push up towards Michigan as high as -6.5 right now. So for Robbie Vino, Tony Finn, I am Drew Martin. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy Washington and Michigan. And also remember to check out the Wager Talk live odds screen, the best free live odds in the business to see where these lines are moving from 4.5 to 6.5 on Michigan. You can check it out all for free. Wager Talk live odds screen.
Winning comes in all shapes and sizes. It's different for everyone. One thing is certain. Every day there's an opportunity for a win. Just like scratchers from the Virginia Lottery. Everyday grab and go. Everyday giftable. Everyday fun. It's where anticipation meets instant gratification. Like the new Virginia Lottery Scratcher High Roller Blackjack with a chance to win up to 10 times your prize. Now, that's an everyday win. Drive to a retailer near you. Odds of winning any prize, 1 in 4.16. Winning comes in all shapes and sizes. It's different for everyone. One thing is certain. Every day there's an opportunity for a win. Just like scratchers from the Virginia Lottery. Everyday grab and go. Everyday giftable. Everyday fun. It's where anticipation meets instant gratification. Like the new Virginia Lottery Scratcher High Roller Blackjack with a chance to win up to 10 times your prize. Now, that's an everyday win. Drive to a retailer near you. Odds of winning any prize, 1 in 4.16.